the essence of the spiritual impediment, the failure which led, as we know, to the destruction of the second temple that we're now experiencing the 3 weeks of mourning is, of course, sinat chinam. The sages highlight that both in the Gemara and the Midrashim, how in the interaction between people there was a baseless hatred. There was an inability to legitimize the view of others. Josephus, the historian, famously says that when people would argue at the time, the differing groups with their worldviews, there was an inability to accept on any level any legitimacy in the view of the other. We know that in Israel there's tremendous arguments at the moment, politically, religiously, and we know that in communities around the world, in governments, in societies, there is so much debate and divisiveness. And I came across this week an incredible Kli Yakar, Rabbi Ephraim of Lunchens, the chief rabbi of Prague after the famous Maharal, in his monumental work, the Kli Yakar, this beautiful commentary in the Torah, says an incredible thing, quoting a midrash. He says, you know how we need to create unity in the world? He says from the very word for heaven. We know that the word for heaven is shamayim. And listen to this unbelievable insight. We know that it says, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says that arguments for the sake of heaven, kol machloket shi lesheim shamayim, for the sake of heaven, they will endure. What is an argument for the sake of heaven? We have to know, for heaven's sake, what is heaven, shamayim? He says the word shamayim, it's the Kli Yakar on the word when Hashem created the heaven and the earth, and in the second day divided between the upper and lower waters, the firmament, and vayikra. It says explicitly, it says, vayikra Elokim la rakia shamayim. God called the firmament that He created, dividing the upper and lower waters, shamayim. What is shamayim, says the Kli Yakar? He says it made up of two words, eish, mayim. Shamayim, the shin from eish and mayim. The Midrash says that Michael and Gabriel were two conflicting angels. One was responsible for water, one was responsible for fire. No two elements could be more divisive and confrontational than these two. The essence of water, it puts out fire and totally extinguishes it. And fire, of course, vaporizes and evaporates water. And he says, Oseh shalom bimromav, as it says in Eov, as we say in Kaddish, that God creates shalom bimromav, so to speak, peace and harmony above. How is it between, he says, between Michael and Gabriel, the forces, the spiritual forces of fire and water, which each one is at odds with the other. And the word shamayim is the ability to bring together. The upper and lower waters were divided and they were called shamayim. Why shamayim, he says? Because shamayim brings them together. It causes peace and high. It brings together all the opposing spiritual forces that are in the world. All are legitimate. That is the essence of what machloket lesheim shamayim is about. Argue, yes. Vociferously, yes. Totally differing views, yes. But always remember, lesheim shamayim, eish mayim, or say shalom imromav. God brings the most contrasting views, not to be only in conflict, but to be complementary and in ways which bring together. And with the very word shalom, as we know, is not just peace, it is shlemut. It is finding space for everybody in a wholesome way. May we all, in all of our arguments, in all areas of life, be able to do it lesheim shamayim, to bring eish and mayim together, water and fire, and to see the legitimate view as vociferous as we feel about the views of others, to find ways to bring these together, that the contrast should ultimately be one which is complementary. Shabbat Shalom.